So welcome to the next edition of the Punk CX podcast. With me today, I have NiCE's CEO, Scott Russell, who is responsible for driving the company's vision, strategy, growth, and innovation, and all good stuff like that, as well as leading a global team of 9,000 employees who serve 25,000 organizations across more than 150 countries. That's a lot. Scott is a seasoned enterprise technology leader with over 30 years of experience driving innovation, operational excellence, and business growth. Prior to joining NiCE, and the paint's not quite dry on it, I don't think, because he only joined in January 2025, Scott was the Global Chief Revenue and Customer Officer at SAP, where he led the sales, partner management, and customer engagement functions, achieving record-breaking growth while overseeing a diverse global team. As CEO of NiCE, Scott is committed to accelerating NiCE's growth and championing relentless innovation to strengthen its position as a global AI leader. Scott is also an active ambassador of global employee well-being, advocating for diversity and inclusion. Blimey, I nearly said all of that in one breath.
Wow.
Blimey. There you go.
That was impressive, Adrian. I didn't think I was all those things, but thank you.
Well, there you go. It's like a big old long kind of like accolade list. I mean, just want to say, Scott, thank you for coming and joining me on the podcast. Welcome. How are you doing?
I am well, Adrian, and thank you for having me. It's great to be here. And by that opening of that introduction, I've got a lot to step up to.
Well, we're setting the bar. We're setting the bar, sir. Really high.
Indeed.
So the thing I wanted to start with was, I know that NiCE recently held a couple of interactions events. I mean, your annual customer events, both in Las Vegas and London. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it along, so I couldn't really hear about some of the raft of announcements that you made there about how you're developing the platform and so on and so forth. And it's kind of nice because I actually kind of was in Vegas at the time of the NiCE event last year, and I got to meet Barak, who's the previous CEO, and had a chat with him, which was great. So, but I wanted to ask you just to fill me in a little bit. Tell me what the main headlines and messages were coming out of those events.
Yeah. And I look forward to welcoming you to next year's events, Adrian, because there are obviously great forums, first and foremost, for our customers to not only listen to what we're doing at NiCE and what our vision is, but listen and hear to each other. So we had 3,000 people in Vegas and over, I think it was over 1,300 in the UK of customers, and so record attendance. Because of the of not only our message but what they're seeing. So, what was the main genesis of what we saw and heard and presented and shared at the world of CX is transforming, and the opportunity to reimagine, and I use that word intentionally, to reimagine the way customer experience is served for both consumers and agents, human agents, for companies is. The opportunity is real, and it's obviously underpinned by AI.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've obviously looked at this from a variety of aspects, but from a holistic view, we believe that the role that technology and AI plays is profound, but it still needs to create incredible human experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, the consumer that we are serving through the brands on a B2C or a B2B2C, or the human agents that are helping serve that, needs to be an incredible experience and has the opportunity to be an incredible experience. So the role that AI plays is not just about automation and efficiency. And of course, you will get those things, be able to serve and run and do things that you could never have done before, but to do it in a human way, in a way that is a memorable experience. You want the benefit of automation and the efficiency and the great technology, but you want to be doing where you feel great.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reality is here and now. So we rolled out a series of capabilities, our agentic AI platform, Empower Agent, the ability to be able to generate AI agents, prompt-based, simple description to perform tasks, not just to chat based on knowledge, but to truly perform tasks. The ability to be able to interact between an AI bot or an AI agent and a human agent, interoperability, seamless conversations, fulfilling outcomes and resolutions for customers in sub-seconds because of the role that it plays. as well as still having a platform that caters for the complex scenarios that we as humans generate. So that reimagining customer experiences is what we're personalized, human-like, even if it's delivered by AI is, and it resonated really well. Clearly, customers are trying to figure out how to use it, and I'm sure you've probably got questions of views there. So a lot of the discussion was not on the direction, everybody bought in and agreed, but how to get there. And that's where we believe the speed, and the flexibility of an open platform that we also promote is really critical, because every organization is going to deal with the opportunities and the challenges of AI in unique ways. Regulated industries have other constraints than maybe others. So you've got to cater for that, and we're able to do so.
I wanted to pick up on the word that you used a couple of times there, and it's this idea about reimagining things. And I wonder if, is that also kind of like, do you see that also being a challenge? Like people kind of like going, oh, there's all this kind of like noise about the art of the possible, as it were, right? And people possibly get carried away with that because you talked about reimagining a human-centered customer experience, because ultimately we're the ones that have the wallets still, right?
Agreed.
We're the ones that are doing the buying and having the experiences. And do you think that's also a challenge that people have to get their minds around, i.e., understanding what is the art of the possible with the technology, but also reimagining what the experience kind of might or could be like, and then getting that sort of like directionally accurate sort of vector of movement right, so that they know where they're going or where they're heading towards, or they know what they're envisioning, what they want to deliver.
Adrian, I do. I would even go as far as to say that incrementality is our enemy.
Right.
If you think about and you've been in the CX space for a long time, and you understand the technology stacks and how it evolved over generations. We at NiCE have done this for nearly 40 years now. So how we manage the workforce and human agents in a contact center, how we routed telco and then used IVR and then did analytics. And so you've had this evolution. But incrementality means that you're not re-looking at, well, how do I deliver an incredible experience? And that means not starting from zero necessarily, because I think, but starting with, what does a great experience, an outstanding experience look like? And can we deliver that in a way with AI? Does that open opportunities for us? And I'll give you a good example. You know, so Sony, great customer of ours, they identified about 40% of their inquiries that they received to their contact center. It's just complete automation ready, self-service ready. And it was done based on the analytics of our platform. But what they did was they looked at, well, how do I create the great experience? It's not just about fulfilling it through self-service and an AI bot, but also how's it going to coexist with the human agents in case you can't fulfill it, and the handoffs. And so this platform, and so they reimagined that engagement of the entire experience, including the 40%.
Right.
Solving the 40% wasn't the challenge. It was an entire CX experience, of which 40% could be done in an automated way. Now, what happened was their agents were coming in with informed, equipped capability when the self-service was not able to fulfill all the things that we as humans need. But they were able to get a high level of efficiency, and it had record levels of customer satisfaction. And this is one of the things that I did want to pick on. A lot of people are worried, oh, if I don't speak to a human, and I'm as guilty as this as anybody. I want that human touch. And that's what we do. We crave for that understanding, that empathy, that connection. And so they were also looking, well, how can our self-service through automation, the AI age, can it still deliver that human-like? So they were able to get incredible self-service, record customer satisfaction, and achieve the automation opportunities that they were looking for. So I think if you went from a truly incremental, then what you're going to do is you're going to throw an automation tool to go and solve the problem of self-service. No, what you're trying to do is reimagine customer experience, of which self-service is a key part of. And it's a big shift.
Yeah, no, so it feels like it's what you're saying is that if you think like take it like a healthcare analogy, it's like you might have a sore toe, but you're not treating the symptom. You're actually trying to understand the kind of the cause and thinking about things systemically, because otherwise you end up just fixing sore toes all over the place. But I want to come back to that sort of the keeping that sort of human touch, that empathy sort of bit kind of to that later, because I wanted to circle to something you said in your Vegas keynote, because I was able to watch it, and in it you said that, and it speaks to this to technology parts, that many organizations are still uncertain about how to best leverage AI and innovation to transform customer experiences. Now, I wondered if your comments were related to some of the findings that you came up with in your 2025 Global Happiness Index, and also a new report that you produced called the C-Suite Disconnect, I believe. And so, is that right? I mean, and what is that what was driving that insight?
So it is. So it was both the happiness report, and I'll give you a few data points of what we heard and saw from our customers, and also our lived experience in the use of our AI platform, our Empower platform, and the way it's rolled out. But I'll give you an example. When we connected and we did our happiness report, 37% of C-suite leaders feared that consumers won't trust AI. But funnily enough, the data showed the opposite. So what we found was when AI was used, actually it increased customer satisfaction, not reduced it. So whilst global happiness and engagement was actually down, customer service happiness was actually came up, and it was underpinned by the role of AI. So first comment is perception versus reality.
Sure.
The fear and what you hear in the public domain more broadly about the data and the quality and the hyper all of the different challenges you have with AI and needing to regulate, but the lived experience of companies in customer experience. What were the causes of unhappiness? I have to keep repeating myself: long resolution times, not having the opportunity to speak with a human, things that we know and understand.
Yeah.
And AI was able to solve many of those things. Shorten resolution times. Interoperability with a human is a critical element, because it's not only self-service AI platform and it's not only human. The coexistence of this becomes a really clear and important part. And then the only other thing that we also heard about that uncertainty is, so the company's worrying about the wrong thing, but also there is a wow effect. So consumers, 72% of the consumers actually now say that they've experienced real benefits. So from CX AI and automation. And so they've felt that, whether they've called, chatted, emailed, whatever way of interacting with their brand of choice, when they've experienced a capable AI platform. And again, to give you an example, a great one in the UK, Lloyds Banking Group, they use our AI knowledge management platform, supporting the 12,000 people that handles the 25 plus million calls, I think it is, for fraud and disputes. By using the power of the knowledge of the AI in serving it in a way that their agents can immediately resolve those challenges, customers feel heard, they feel fast resolution, it's underpinned, it makes employees feel better because they're delivering exceptional customer care. So the proof points are overcoming the fear, but there's still, I've got to tell you, there's some incrementality in the rollout. Oh, we'll start with a bit of Copilot and then do some self-service. And I feel that as an industry, we're on that tip of where you can see where the widespread deployment, and I think the onus is on companies like NiCE. I think we've got to make it easier for them to get on that journey and roll, and that's why we've really anchored on the platform of capabilities rather than a solution to solve a specific problem. Because if you're reimagining customer experiences, there is a variety of things, and you want to be able to have a platform that can deliver to all of that, even if you implement it piece by piece.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, going to that sort of thing that's there's another data point I think in the one of the reports that said that I talked about 89% of C-suite leaders are talking about this fear of uncertainty that's holding them back.
Yes.
So talk to me about some of the barrier. I mean, because that fear comes from somewhere, something, right? And what are you seeing? Is it just fears that could this exist in their minds, or what are there other big barriers to organizations kind of moving forward?
There's two big ones, but I'll add a third. But the two big ones is a lived personal experience, because we're all consumers.
Yeah.
And we've all experienced hallucinations. If you've been in any way or form an active user of whatever your Gen AI platform, whether it be GPT or Anthropic or Gemini or Bedrock or whatever platform that you've used, and you've used it in a personal sense, you've seen the power of the technology, but also you've seen the implications of hallucinations and issues. And so it's been an evolving way of being able, and then as business leaders, the uncertainty about the regulations, the changes around the regulatory environment, the quality of the data, because that obviously has a big impact on then the quality of the ability for AI to do it, staying in control of the outcomes. But I would add one more, is the change management.
Right.
I think we underestimate, and
it's a perennial problem, I think, Scott.
As a technology leader, we love what we've built, Adrian. I mean, it really is. I mean, it gives me goosebumps to look at what our engineers have built, and I've inherited a great technology team that has built this. And this, it's a privilege to be able to take over from what Barack and the team put in place. But there's no doubt we're accelerating it. But it's great but the ability for organizations who have got an established, known, quantifiable, highly measurable, cost-effective customer service and customer experience platform to introduce this change without disrupting the consumer is one of the key elements. As employees, we're more forgiving if when we roll out an AI tool and it doesn't quite work, it's in the confines of the organization. But customer experience has to work.
Yeah.
It can't fail. It can't be wrong. And so I think that introduction and change management, and we've really been clear about the observability and helping our customers go. And we rely on our partners heavily for this as well, to be able to get the measurable benefits rather than it's one big hit, that incremental, which is again why we've really been distinct in our focus around a platform that delivers a capability that provides compounding value. So you tune it for a co-pilot scenario. That same model can also be applied to an autopilot or a self-service model. And that can also be done for call summarization capabilities. So you're constantly compounding the value and you're leveraging what you've built. And a lot of solutions in AI don't do that, which is why a lot of business leaders get frustrated, because they're like, I see the potential, but my lived reality is not the same. And so we've got to help them on that change management and that journey, which we are.
Perfect. I mean, I think it seems to me this is a thing that there's like a phrase I use probably too often, but I talk about this idea that the future of customer experience is always built in the present. And what I mean by that is it speaks to these conflicting priorities around people got to plan for heading off disruption, building for the future, and all these different sort of things. But they can't do that without actually paying attention to what's going on today, because customers, people like you and I and everybody else as consumers, we have problems today. And if we don't attend, if brands don't attend to those problems today, then we possibly forfeit our chance to build on and nurture that relationship tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so you end up with these competing priorities, which speak to that change kind of effort, but it also speaks to the kind of the platform and how you balance that sort of envisioning and reimagining and kind of like battle against incrementalism and things.
Yeah.
And I do think it's an interesting kind of word because the change management thing is it becomes a perennial problem with these
It does.
big projects. And I'd like to see kind of more and more organizations kind of lean into this, because you've got to bring your people with you.
No doubt. I love this. It's got to be here and now. I mean, one of the things that I think I even said in the in the keynote was I did talk about the balance that you just described, the stability, the cost efficiency, to be able to, but also to non-disrupt, having an incredible experience for your consumers. And while you're introducing change, you can't afford to disrupt them, because let's face it, as consumers, our expectations are higher than ever, and they will continue to increase, which means brands are going to be measured on their, not only their great people that are interacting with their customers, whether it be there through their contact centers or in their, in other forms, but also by the quality of their AI to give great experiences. And so that they won't be treated well. So that ability to introduce change that is incrementally beneficial, that creates a great human experience, which, coming back to where we see this market, it becomes such a critical element, because you have to deliver now. You don't get the right to, let us come back to you in 6 months' time when we solve all of our, no, you've got to solve today's challenges, but also be ready for tomorrow's opportunities.
Absolutely. So, I mean, maybe I said we were going to circle back to the kind of the empathy bit, because you talked about creating a more human experience, and that's not just about automating for efficiency, but you're fusing this automation with empathy. And I wanted to better understand how you're doing that to retain that sort of like human touch and inverted commas, even when the human's not in that kind of loop or active in that kind of conversation. So can you tell me a little bit how you're doing that?
Yeah, there's a few foundational elements. The first is a recognition that great customer experiences is not just an automated, a cost-effective delivering, but how it feels. Ultimately, how it feels matters. And so the memorability, the experience itself, and consumers and customers want the benefit of both. So first of all, there is the acknowledgement that that's what great customer experience, because let's face it, we don't sit here as consumers now and say, I accept that it's going to take hours to solve my lost credit card and replacement card, or my claims, or my new customer creation, or my whatever, my flight change and billing. You want instantaneous response, but you also want it delivered in a way that feels good.
Yeah.
And I think the acknowledgement of that will be a part of that, creating the stickiness and the loyalty of customers, which is always paramount when they look at it. Then when we think about our capability, there's three big things that I would highlight. The first is the platform provides compounding value. And what I mean by that is the data, the models that we run on because you can choose any LLM, but we have our own foundational model based on the 20 billion of interactions that we run through our AI platform. Whether you're using it for a co-pilot or an autopilot or whatever the way, the learning on that and applying it to the company's guardrails, but also the standards of which they want to interact with their consumers on the AI, you tailor, you build that on the platform. So you're not just building functional outcomes, you're building experience in being able to do it. I'll give you a simple example. We launched Empower Agent. It's our agentic AI. You can not only design it to create, I want to automate a task. The example I gave at Interactions was create an agent that reaches out to eligible customers that will be able to auto approve a premium account upgrade for a financial institution.
Right.
Bang, deployed. But you can then do it in a way that you can also then build in the smart speak language, where it's got language translation in the agent. You can do, so it becomes not just functionally delivering, but served in a way. And then last but not least is product design that is explicit about great human experiences. I want to differentiate our company. We've always been strong at a functional capability. I hope you would agree, Adrian. We really do know this space. I would argue better than anyone. But to win with AI, not only do you want the automation, but back to the happiness index, we know that when it's delivered in the right way, it makes a happier consumer.
Yeah.
And so we're going to combine the two to measure that happiness as well as the automation performance. And I think when we do that, customer experiences will be reimagined and transformed, but they'll make humans smile. And ultimately, it's not only the consumer that I'm talking about here, it's also the agent. And a lot of the AI use cases, by the way, have been how to help an agent, human agent, be more effective, which makes them feel good. They're doing better and better things when they're interacting with you and I, when we're dealing with our difficult challenges that we expect instantaneous solutions for.
Sure. And I know that I remember talking to Barack about this last year about how you also extended your platform so that it wasn't just like CCaaS, but it's also could drop into, you could loop into kind of like people that are tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, because actually as you automate more of the simple stuff, then things get more complex, and the knowledge or the expertise isn't always on the front line, it's sometimes in the back.
Exactly.
Sometimes, and then being able to loop people in and have all that context, all that information, and that knowledge, and to transfer forward is a great step. But then putting all that data, as it were, into the conversations makes complete sense.
So we had a customer in Barry's session in Apple Leisure Group, and they run hotel brands and others, and they're great experiences. But what's really amazing is they worked with us on a co-pilot scenario using our data platform to be able to help agents solve challenges for one of the hotel group, and making the agents be able to solve queries more effectively, answer it based on the knowledge platform, super valuable. But what they found was that opened up, there's automation possibilities where, and the agents were saying this can be done in a self-service way. If
Sure.
you use that data and then do it directly with the consumers, we can solve that before it even hits us. So they become part of the reimagined design, which I think was an unexpected benefit as they've rolled out. So that for me is a great experience, because then the humans that are working in these contact centers are not sitting there saying, oh, gee, my I'm going to lose my job. No, they're actually saying, hey, I'm going to help you automate, but I'm still invaluable in creating those great human experiences, but I'm doing more complex, more valuable, and I'm doing more things at the point of interaction, which I will. One quick thing, and I know we're probably running out of time, but Adrian, the opportunity to solve, I would call it fulfillment, maybe resolution, but fulfill the tasks at interaction, those 20 billion interactions that we get on our platform, our ability to instantaneously solve, which often involves tasks, workflows, actions that goes into the mid and back office. That was the other big pivot of the event. We believe firmly that we are able to, particularly with agentic AI and our rollout of Empower Agent and Empower Orchestrator, that we can fulfill those tasks at the point of interaction, whereas historically, the customer service agent would need to contact with somebody in the back office to go get a task done. And they would say, hey, Adrian, can you just go on hold for a couple of moments, or I'll come back to you. And minutes later, and what they're doing is they're scrambling to solve the thing that you've asked for. We can automate all of that. So I think the lived experience for consumer is better, but also the ability to automate what is currently quite a manual task in the mid and the back office is also the opportunity. And that's the benefit we see as well, in where we can take AI in customer experience.
The thing I really loved, and it speaks to the whole change management sort of thing, is that how your story about the kind of hotel group and how it brought these agents in, and they were being proactive about bringing kind of the suggestions forward. I remember writing something last year and said, to be successful in this space, I think you have to combine two types of AI. And I said this: the first one is obviously artificial intelligence, but the second one is agent intelligence. Because what we don't acknowledge is that we have this biological network of supercomputers, i.e. our agents, that we don't access enough. And we need to rely on these kind of these people to get the most out of the kind of the AI, but also kind of like to leverage what sits in their heads, and how we can build and be better and better and better. So
Adrian,
I love that.
you are well ahead of, I think, where many thought, because everyone thought AI equals replacement of agents. It's actually not. It's actually powering up those humans who are really knowledgeable, understand the guardrails, have minimal errors, create great human experiences, and are the brand ambassadors for these organizations. And when you use the AI to help empower them to make them more, they become not only better in serving in that brand ambassadorial role, but they become the change agents because they're designing and helping design. I think it's the fact that you identified it a year ago. I think we built the platform, but it was largely through customer feedback. We realized the agent experience scenarios we were building with AI could be reused in other forms as well, hence the platform centricity. But I suspect if you had have asked us 2 years ago, I wasn't here, but it was probably to where you would expect, oh, we've got this solution to solve this problem, we've got this solution to do this. But actually the interoperability, and let's face it, brands are going to continue to interoperate between AI, humans, it's synchronous, asynchronous, one continual conversation, lots of so your ability to be able to work in tandem and in a seamless way, I think is a really critical part of that human experience as well. We don't want to have to start again.
No.
It probably frustrates us the most.
I think I'm going to brush my shoulders a little bit and kind of say that I think I identified that kind of more than a year ago, but like, I don't want to blow my own trumpet like too much.
Love it.
But one final thing I want to ask you about, because I know you've started this. It's because it's like it's a nice thing, right? That you've announced this new global campaign about creating a nice world, and I just thought that was quite a fun thing. I wanted to understand a bit more about that and what was the thinking about behind it.
Look, I got to be honest with you, Adrian. When I joined with NiCE, I thought great company, great people, love the products. I was amazed at how positive the product feedback and how much core organizations really partner with us and trust, and they need it, the stability, the scale, the performance of the platform. But I also thought, gee, what a great name. And it is linked to this human connection because it is very much around the mantra of being an AI CX leader. So it's an acknowledgement that we are moving from what we would historically have called CCaaS into a CX AI world. And that's not to where we still need all of those strengths, but in a CX AI world, we are creating incredible human experiences for both consumers and agents or employees. We are reimagining customer experiences. And ultimately, what's it going to do? It's going to create a nice world. People are going to feel good when they interact with their brands. And it's also for our employees, something to really rally behind. Hey, we're here for a bigger purpose. And it sounds a bit cheesy, and I know that, but we really mean it. We're wanting to create, what does a nice world mean to us as individuals, as a team, as an organization? And are we doing things that will generate that? And so it's already had an impact in our organization around our employee, our community engagement, our diversity and inclusion, our policies around how we treat and look after each other, how we work with partners, how we behave ourselves and be great in doing business. So it has a very specific intent, but it also, has a lot of follow through. And yeah, I love our company name, so I figured, hey, why wouldn't we use it? So hopefully you like it too. And
I know
if nothing else, it's memorable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, so I remember writing a book back it came out in 2016, and right at the very end of the book, I wrote this kind of like slightly tongue-in-cheek thing where I can like said, bad customer service sort of just spoils people's day, whether you're a customer or you're an agent or whatever. And if we could do more about actually reducing the number of bad days that people have, there'd be less conflict, less fighting, less this, less that. It'd be like world peace. Amen. Hallelujah.
Yes.
And that's kind of why I kind of like that. I'm just like idealist.
Creating a smile.
But just creating more smiles. And so that's kind of cool. I like it.
You would have seen that we sort of updated the smile, but it really is. It is about that. If you're an agent, and you've just delivered a great experience for a consumer, it makes you feel good. It creates a smile. If you're the consumer on the other end of it, and it's whether it be an AI agent or a human or whatever, the way of creating the smile and doing so in a really automated and efficient way, I think it can. That's the opportunity we have. It's a win-win. The brands don't need to compromise customer experiences and satisfaction anymore. In fact, they can empower it. But ultimately, we need a few more smiles in the world. I think you and I you would agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And so, Scott, just want to ask you one final thing before we can finish. Is there anything else you'd like to add or highlight that we've missed out before we wrap up?
You've been very thorough, and it's been wonderful to join you today, Adrian. I really do appreciate the opportunity to share not only a little bit about what we're doing at NiCE and the passion that we have around really reinventing in this space, but also, having the opportunity to talk more about the purpose of who we are as well. And I look forward to reading more of your insightful reports, because they'll then become the things that we need to implement on in future years. So keep doing it.
Thank you very much. Well, listen, Scott, it's been amazing talking to you. Thanks again for your time.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Adrian.
So we just had an interview. I just had a chat with Scott Russell from the CEO of NiCE. And following on from that conversation, I am now joined on the podcast by Alistair Hadfield, who is the COO of Staysure, who are also a customer of NiCE's. And Alistair and I are going to have a chat about their digital transformation journey with NiCE, just to give us the inside scoop, as it were. So, Alistair, welcome to the Punk CX podcast. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Now, for the folks that are listening in that might not be aware of Staysure and also yourself, can you give us a bit of a thumbnail sketch on yourself and also the Staysure and what you're all about?
Absolutely. So my name, Alistair Hadfield, I'm the Group COO here at Staysure Group. We are the UK's #1 travel insurer with ambitions to grow. So we're looking to expand internationally over the coming months. We have a high customer base, lots of different customer brands, servicing our target demographic. So our specialism in the travel insurance market, a market that we made 20 years ago in the UK, is about pre-existing and medical travel insurance.
Okay.
So trying to enable customers of all ages and most medical conditions to get away on holiday with peace of mind. My role in that as COO is to enable our agents in our call centers to provide the best possible service, with a focus on enhancing our technology offering and supporting them better in those conversations. And we'll get into all of that, and transforming the company as a whole. So it's a company that's grown organically over the years. It's got to a scale where there are some things that we need to fix and some things that we are seeking to improve. And we've got a high level of ambition as well.
Awesome. Now, there's something that, the intro, and you alluded to it in your little intro, your little background kind of bit there, is that you are going through this transformation, digital transformation in terms of how you serve your customers, and NiCE is playing a big role in that, as I understand.
It will do.
It will do. Right. Okay. But before I ask you about kind of what your plans are, I mean, I'm always interested to understand where people have come from, because it almost like sets the context and the picture. So I wonder if you can paint a picture of where you have come from and what are the main challenges you were facing before we get into what the plans are going forward.
Absolutely. So a number of different challenges for me when I joined. So I joined Staysure Group not so long ago, beginning of last year. And I joined a company that had grown considerably over a period of the previous 3 years. Coming out of COVID, Staysure was one of the only insurance brands that stayed on throughout COVID. And therefore, as we emerged out of COVID, was the only operator that could really cope with the massive spike in customer interest in travel. And therefore, I joined a company that had gone through those growth surges, and that had left a set of things that needed to be fixed. Partly the technology. So the incumbent tech for our agents to use with customers and for customers to contact us were all outdated and not really supporting the types of conversations that we wanted to have and the types of operating models we wanted to put in place. From an organizational perspective, there's been again an organic approach, let's call it, to what people had to say to customers, what journeys we took them on, online, offline, the ways that we performance managed people, the way that we QA'd quality assurance, the conversations that we had. There was a real opportunity for improvement in all of those domains. And last and not least, we put a lot of burden on our agents talking to customers to remember things that weren't given to them. So they had all of these things to remember. And given our customer base is typically more on the aging side of the demographic with potentially medical conditions as well, they can be quite challenging conversations because you get into the detail of that to offer travel insurance. So also our agents have to understand and be able to converse on some quite complex and sensitive topics with customers.
So not a straightforward proposition.
No, indeed. Therefore, my job to make it better.
Yeah, well, perfect. I mean, so you're in the process of transforming that whole customer service kind of offering and the broader sort of experience. And by understanding you're going to do that with NiCE's kind of AI-driven platform, the CX1 Empower. Tell me more about that, and tell me more about why NiCE, because it's quite a crowded marketplace, right? And there's a lot of people kind of like talk about doing all these different sort of things. And so I'm interested in terms of that decision kind of criteria, that kind of that process that you kind of went through.
Yeah, and we did do a full market evaluation. As you say, there's a lot of platforms out there, and many of them offer similar capabilities on the face of it. So it was an interesting process to go through. We are an ambitious, fast-moving company. We've got a very ambitious founder and CEO, Ryan Howsam, who wants to drive this company to be the best it possibly can be. So we did want to get a platform that could meet that brief.
Right.
So it had to be one that was market leading, global, and it had to have AI inside. So that's his brief.
Right.
And that's our brief as a company, and that's taken as read. When my team did the evaluation, the thing that they really, really liked and keep coming back to is the co-pilot capability. Because we have these complex conversations with customers, because we have long conversations with customers, because we have hundreds of agents worldwide servicing these customers, having the capability to surface a knowledge base. We've already got a knowledge base, but to put it inside NiCE and have an AI capability sitting alongside agents, surfacing knowledge at relevant times, contextual to the conversation they're having with customers, and then allowing our team leaders and supervisors to be able to view that in real time and intervene if there are problems. That is some really cool tech that we felt was going to transform that dynamic for our agents and give them the help that they need.
And how do you envisage the whole, I feel like both the customer experience and the employee experience kind of changing over time? Because you're going from, as you say, a platform or a set of processes, people, process, and technology that's been organically grown to something which is you're now trying to future-proof and be a bit more sort of digital sort of first and AI sort of enabled. So how do you envisage things sort of changing from both the customer and also the employee side?
So I'll start with the employee, if I may, and then we'll move to the customer.
Yeah, of course.
So from an employee perspective, we're in a predominantly remote working environment for our internal employees. And then we have outsourced providers who predominantly are office location based. So blend of different operating models. We have a number of platforms that they have to use. all of which we're trying to evolve. So they are going to go through learning journeys, and they often spend between 20 minutes or maybe up to an hour on sales conversations.
Wow.
They can be quite protracted conversations, because when you sell travel insurance, there can be more than one person on the policy.
Right.
All of those people have their own characteristics, etc. And you need to go through all of that in order to give them the peace of mind that they're covered.
And I guess when you're dealing with a specific market with pre-existing conditions, then you have to risk adjust based on the information you find out, and so on and so forth. And that'll be a kind of dynamic pricing kind of model, I'm guessing.
As per most insurance companies, I'd say yes, absolutely. But the number of medical conditions, very wide, broad-ranging topic, and the number of places you can go on holiday, and for the duration. And so there's all of these different things that we have to get into. And as I said, we have inherited a set of platforms which make it difficult for us to traverse between different channels. Mm-hmm. So you end up with a lot of repetition for interactions that a customer might feel they've already had.
And customers hate that.
Customers hate that. Agents don't particularly like it, to be honest.
Either.
They're wasting their time.
Yeah.
So that's part of our challenge. The way that the information in the system is surfaced for agents, I mentioned before, they have to remember too much.
Yes.
So over time, too many exceptions have been arrived at, and you end up with longer learning journeys for agents than they should have to go through in order to become productive.
Yeah.
And tenure makes a big impact on their capabilities as agents. So the quicker they become productive and the more enjoyable that work environment could be, the better. So I'll come back to that as well. And also over time, as I mentioned earlier as well, there's a load of sort of clumsy wording, a lot of regulatory wording, a lot of repetition. Again, for the agent, that's time consuming, and they have historically been very much managed on a compliance basis. So regulatory compliance, obviously important, but if you're QAing one of your agents, that's a lot of investment of time to get no developmental feedback or softer feedback around their performance. Yeah. So that should be an opportunity for a development conversation, not just a pass or fail on a compliance scorecard.
And if I may, is it has consumer duty played a role in that, in terms of adding a level of complexity, because you're dealing with people with existing medical conditions and then also insurance, and it's regulated, but then there's the FCA's consumer duty, and there's vulnerability is a big
topic.
A big topic. Well, a big topic and a big category according to the FCA.
Yeah, and especially a big category in our market.
Yeah, indeed.
And that's one of the capabilities that I'm excited about exploring. But then the response to that is around making the scripts more friendly, making the systems more friendly, remember less, so that we can focus on training agents to be empathetic, active listening. I mean, we're selling, so objection handling as well. And also then making the systems more helping in terms of prompting, we've forgotten to do this. Remember to say that medical condition is X, Y, and Z, therefore this, So you're then getting contextual advice for agents about how to do their job better. Meanwhile, in the background, listening to those conversations, automated QA across every call rather than manual QA across a very small proportion.
Indeed.
You start to get a much richer picture of the performance of your operation as a whole, where the risk heat spots are, and focusing in and addressing those through coaching, through other actions, of course, as well. But all of that is going to improve on the relationship that team leaders have with their agents, the performance conversations that we can have, the development conversations that we can have. Even to the point where I was at the NiCE conference a couple of weeks ago, and they're demonstrating some of the co-pilot capabilities for supervisors, where they auto-generate development needs for, in particular, agents, and then spin up AI-based training to specifically address those needs, that they can then have interactively with AI come off the back of that, and that's a new skill learned. So, those sorts of things are really exciting. So that's why I started with agents first. You may be surprised.
No, it's perfect. And I guess because you talked about the kind of QA, and it's like automatically doing the QA on all of the interactions. I guess that's also going to bring you, I'd imagine it's also going to bring you closer to the product teams as well, in terms of kind of all the insights that it's going to drive from that. That might be the next stage, as it were, but it's undoubtedly there's a richness in there, and insights that you can feed back through to the product team.
It is like night and day. So our old platforms...
I'm going to ask you to explain that.
So our old platforms hosted all of these customer touch points and generated no insights across them.
Right.
Whereas we've been live with NiCE for 2 months now. So we're still in a process of rolling out to all of the different parts of our business operating model across all of our different group entities.
Mm-hmm.
But we started with our flagship, our Stayshore and Avanti and Expat brands.
Mm-hmm.
And real time, you can see these insights emerging.
Right.
Not just in terms of call by call, but then trends, hotspots. You can run different proofs of concepts and monitor their performance real time on different subsets of your operation. It's all very dynamic, all very intuitive. And I've really enjoyed learning how to dashboard all of that, so I can get into that and see myself how things are evolving. Mm-hmm. So as you mentioned, one of the capabilities that NiCE has is a really rich data insight backend where it's constantly analyzing through AI interactions, and you're getting real-time customer sentiment, real-time agent sentiment. And then that allows you, as I mentioned earlier, to build out heat maps of, who's performing, who's not performing, what do we do about that? Mm-hmm. And then, as you said, off the back of that wealth of customer insight then should be feeding the rest of our enterprise. Now, we're early days.
Yes.
But we'll come on to lessons later. But, the amount of insight that will generate, as you say, for our product teams, for our consumer duty reporting, measuring vulnerability, QA, compliance, and our pricing teams as well. I mean, they're going to get a load of insight from customer behavior and interactions. And ultimately, of course, myself, in terms of what opportunities does that present for automation or digitization? Why are we bringing digital native customers into our call center?
Yeah.
What madness made us do that? We've got all of these different opportunities ahead of us. So we're early in the journey, but we have a vision to leverage all of these things. And the organization is getting very excited about that. Our challenge now is prioritizing from the sweet shop of capabilities that are in front of us.
Yeah. And before I ask you to reflect on the kind of maybe how that might change the whole customer experience, I mean, I wanted just to ask about the one thing about, because this is probably slightly off script, but it's another the nature with the AI empowered sort of enterprise software, the nature of the game has changed.
Yes.
Right. And it's no longer you buy the software, you get some training, you get some onboarding, and then you're into a series of QBRs and access to the help team and the success team.
Yeah.
And then left to your own devices. Now it's a case of the burden of management, so development, monitoring, testing, all those different things is also squarely on the enterprise, and that has to be resourced. How have you dealt with that? Have you had to throw more resources at it? Have you had to redeploy people, or both, or how have you done that?
Well, how are we doing that?
How are you doing that? How are you learning kind of that as we go?
Yeah. So we are leaning into AI.
Yeah.
We want to leverage AI capabilities. I think the reality of the AI capability right now is in augmented processes where, whether it's for the customer online or for our agents offline or a combination of the two in both channels, AI can really help those interactions become better informed, more simple, and ultimately more productive and efficient.
Yeah.
So that's effective and efficient as well. So that is where we want to focus on AI, but it is also moving very quickly. So we are building up teams who are dedicated and focused on AI within our enterprise, with a C-suite leader with that accountability to drive at an enterprise level how we consume AI. And we've got to be responsible. We're an FCA regulated company, and we do need to keep our customer promises in terms of how we treat them fairly, how we treat vulnerable customers and give them consistent outcomes. So we need to build all of that into our model, and that's what we're doing. And that's why we're focusing on QA right up in front, because that will give us a really large level of insight that we've never seen.
Okay.
That's why I'm engaging with the data platform. And as you can imagine, there's various different parts of functional groups within our business who are all independently interested.
Yeah.
How do I leverage that data? How do we consume it? That's going to live and breathe for a few months yet in terms of how we do that. But yes, I think it's around setting things up from the outset to be as intelligent, as automated as possible. So you can automate the things that are genuinely automatable right from the outset, with a view to giving you a lot more consumable insight, but then make it very clear to your organization whose role it is to do particular things, because everyone could do all of that in theory.
Sure.
But I want it to be really clear where the roles and responsibilities lie, and where are the opportunities for some more unharnessed innovation, let's say, to go and experiment with some things.
Yeah. And so finally, how do you envision the sort of the customers experience kind of changing kind of with that? Is it that you think it's going to be increasingly self-service, or is it actually a little bit of that? Because given the length of your calls from 20 minutes to an hour, I mean, it feels like that's still quite heavily human touch focused, but then augmented with the technology.
Yeah, I think we need to improve our customer journeys.
Okay.
Let's start there. I think we drive a lot of people into the offline channel at the moment.
Okay.
By design or by accident. And that's something that we're looking at in terms of why are we making digitally native people go into the offline channel. Equally, a lot of people choose to interact with us that way. And that's natural. As a demographic person who prefer to be on a telephone call than using their smart device or laptop, desktop. So we do need to provide a consistent consumer experience across all those different channels, and a similar degree of flexibility. So we've got to change our online journey to cater for that, and we've got to change our offline journey to cater for that. And we've got to build seamless integration between those journeys, so that if someone is a digital native and they've come into our offline channel for whatever reason, do they need to speak to us for an hour, or do they need a 3-minute sense check and then we send them back into the digital journey? NiCE and the other side of the equation, our internal platforms, once we've fulfilled our ambition, will support those traversing journeys to allow us to avoid repetition, pick up where you left off seamlessly, and get help in the context of the channel you're in, whether that be through AI or human intervention. All of those things are then possible, and maybe go into some asynchronous channels as well.
Yeah.
Depending on the choice of channel of the consumer. So all of those things are in the bag. It's working through the amendments you need to make in each area of your tech stack so that you can get them to integrate seamlessly.
And I know that you said that you're only starting your journey with NiCE, and you're like sort of 2 months kind of in. So is it a little bit ambitious for me to ask, like, how is the business benefiting kind of currently, or is it or are there early signs on the doors?
Well, okay, so it's stable. That's a start. Yeah. Basic hygiene. It's already generating insights that we can respond to. Okay. We've already run various proof of concepts where we're generating real-time MI to say, is that a success or failure? This sort of stuff could take months. We're recording our own IVRs now by typing them in rather than sending them off to recording studios.
Right. Okay.
Implemented a callback process. We suffered a little bit on call answer rates the other week. So initiated callbacks, built that process in a week, went live, Now it's up and running, can leverage it whenever we want. You know, with a 99.7% connection rate when we did, that's flexibility and agility that we have been nowhere near before.
Awesome.
So we are seeing real benefits straight away. The thing that I think is most important in this phase is that agility.
Yeah.
Because we're going to try a load of stuff.
Yeah.
And some of it's going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not scared of failing if I can correct it quickly, if I can monitor that outcome and we can course correct very rapidly. That's a brave new world for us because we've been nowhere near that in the past.
Yeah, you don't want to be kind of putting a request into development and stuff, and then it joins a queue, and then you're like going, you're going to wonder where you're at. You're like, you calling up the next day, like, are we any further forward? Are we any further forward? You're like, no. You want to be able to toggle things back and forward and sort of like actually kind of learn very quickly, and just because you manage your own learning and your own risk and your own performance.
Yes. So we've also had to look at our operating models around that. So how do we manage that agility in the production environment? Because we also don't want to lose control of that environment. So it's about how do we build pace into some of those processes and visibility and get the communication right so everyone's aware of what's going on. And the modern back end office platforms really lend themselves to that type of collaboration to be there. So that's also helping.
So I'd also know, I mean, one kind of couple of final questions before we sort of wrap up, because I know that I saw some rather frightening statistics the other day, which said that it's from a Goldman Sachs CIO survey that was published summer last year, that said only about 30 to 35% of all enterprise workflows are currently in the cloud. And that number was only expected to go up by about 15% in the coming 3 years. So around about 45, maybe 50% by summer of 2027. Mm-hmm. And then they can also kind of, another piece of data was that they reckon that about 70% of enterprises still rely on COBOL applications for many kind of mission critical apps. And I was thinking, wow, there is still a lot to do in this transformation malarkey.
Yes. Now, fortunately, I'm working for a company where neither of those things are a challenge.
No.
Because it's fast-paced, because we have our own workforce in Sri Lanka focused on tech and tech innovation. We have some real advantages that set us in good stead in terms of the use of cloud and the use of modern technology in order to build and manage our systems. That said, that's an area which is in itself developing rapidly.
Sure.
So keeping on top of that is in itself going to be an enterprise challenge for everyone, I'm sure, but also an exciting time. So, yeah, I have worked in companies with those challenges. I'm delighted to say this isn't one of them.
Well, that's great to hear, because there's some definitely companies, a lot of companies around that have some heavy lifting to do. I think it's fair to say. But also, if I was actually to sort of, all of this is a journey. It always is. I mean, I sometimes think that we should stop talking about transformation and just talk about continuous evolution, or if that's an oxymoron, probably is actually. But it's a journey that we kind of all go through, trying to keep up, to stay competitive, to stay relevant, to try to be differentiated in the marketplace. If I was actually to wind the clock back and think about kind of what lessons you've learned along the way, or if you had a chance, is there anything else that you would do differently if you could do it all over again? Is there anything that you would highlight, say, yeah, that?
I would have engaged on the whole data topic earlier.
Okay.
Because there's so many interested parties, because there's such a volume of it, getting the teams together and thinking about how to leverage that at an enterprise level from the outset is an opportunity missed in a way. It's not an opportunity we're going to let die on the vine. We're focusing on it now, and also having people who really understand this particular platform and are plugged in to how it's evolving, because it is a fast-paced evolution.
Yeah.
even the new developments that were presented just a couple of weeks ago are really exciting, and you get you thinking, wow, that's genuinely transformational, even on top of the platform, which is transformational for our business. So we've got to keep abreast of that. So we need to build an internal capability to be able to plug into those and think about how we leverage them. A nice example I used at the conference was one of the execs there from NiCE had bought a travel insurance policy from us to go on a cruise the following day.
Right.
It's great. She's a customer. That's great. And we were talking about the capabilities that Agentic can offer in terms of transforming the way you engage with customers. So wouldn't it be nice to phone that customer before they're going on holiday and check in with them? Have you got everything you need? Is there anything else we can do? Now, at the moment, we don't have the operational capacity or cost appetite to run that type of service.
Sure.
But with AI, we could.
Yeah. No, indeed. I mean, I think it's like, I always kind of say that I was talking to somebody earlier today, and I said, what's fascinating is a lot of the talk in terms of about harnessing the potential of AI, and we talk about efficiency and productivity and things, and a lot of people then go straight to, that's going to be loss of headcount or redeployment or whatever. And I said, well, actually, that's the thing. There's not the trap, but it's a quick thing to go to. In actual fact, if you stop and think about, it creates capacity, and you have then a choice about what you do with that capacity, kind of in relation to your business or the service or the experience that you offer. And I think that's a really rich opportunity. And I think it's one that many companies skip by without actually thinking about, can I do something that's different, to your point, that's going to mark me out in a marketplace which is very competitive and very noisy, but it can be sometimes these little small things that just make a difference and make you kind of memorable, and can be the thing that kind of makes a difference between keeping a customer or losing one.
Absolutely. So reinvesting that into an enhanced service and an enhanced customer experience, that's an opportunity waiting to be grabbed.
Absolutely. So thank you for that, and good luck on the rest of your journey. But before we go, is there anything else that you'd like to add or highlight that we've missed out?
No, I think we've been thorough about our current opportunities. We're looking to expand globally, as I mentioned earlier, which is going to present some new challenges like multilingual and how to find an operating model that works like that across the globe. But I think these are also areas that are moving quickly, and I'm sure that we are seeing capabilities come through in a NiCE platform that's going to help us on that journey too.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Alistair, for sharing your time and your insight and your experience with me today. That's been awesome.
Pleasure to meet you.
Wow, what a great interview. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. Find out more about me and the work that I do at adrianswinscoe.com. Do leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. And if you have any comments, feedback, or questions about the podcast, then feel free to send me a message to podcast@adrianswinscoe.com. And do tune in again. Thanks very much.